everyone. I'm Shayna Holmes, the secondary math facilitator for Knox County Schools Math Department. This week's 6th grade math lesson will be on dividing fractions. There are a few important skills that we'll need to go over in order for you to be successful at this week's lesson. Let's start with looking at improper fractions. I have here the improper fraction 19/4, which essentially means that I have 19 sets of 1/4. This model will represent our 19/4. So I will shade in the 19 sets of 1/4. Here I have 16 sets of 1/4, so I need 3 more. 17, 18, 19. Since my denominator is 4, I need to make sure that the wholes are divided into sections of 4. Something else that you can notice is that I have 4 wholes, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 3/4 left over. So now I will show you the algorithm for division that will represent this model. So I have 19/4. Anything that is a fraction, this fraction line represents division. So I'm going to take 19 and I'm going to divide it by 4. So 19 divided by 4 will give me 4 times 4, 16, subtract. 3 is going to be my new numerator. And I'm always going to keep my same denominator, 4 and 3/4. You can see that this also is represented in the model for 4 and 3/4. Now we have a mixed number. I'm going to show you likewise how to turn this mixed number back into an improper fraction. So I have 4 and 3/4. I'm going to multiply 4, which is my whole, times my denominator, because as you can see, I have 4 sets of 4 in my model, which will give me 16. Then I'm going to take 16 and I'm going to add 3. This gives me 19, and I will keep the same denominator, 19/4. Therefore, we know that 19/4 and 4 and 3/4 are equivalent. In your work packet, you will find the Spark Your Learning and Performance task. The performance task will require you to change mixed numbers to improper fractions and vice versa, like we did in this first example. The Spark Your Learning, you will just need to know how to divide fractions. I will show you how to divide fractions with this example problem. So I have 3/4 cups of salsa. Each taco requires 1 cup of salsa. How many 1-cup servings do I have? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you on this number line. So I'm going to take my 3/4. This is 0 to 1 because it's not quite a whole. And I'm going to divide it into 4ths. Right here, this tells me how much I have. So now what I need to do is I want to find out how many sets of 1/8 do I have in this 3/4. So I'm going to divide all these sections into 1/8. So this would be 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8, and 8/8. But I only have 3/4. So that means that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6 servings of 1/8. Now we'll show you how to do this by multiplying by the reciprocal. This is very important for you to remember when you're doing your performance task and Spark Your Learning activities. I'm going to take 3/4 and I'm going to multiply it by the reciprocal of 1/8. The reciprocal of 1/8 is 8 over 1. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to multiply straight across. I'm going to multiply my numerators. 3 times 8, which gets me 24. And then I'm going to multiply 4 times 1, my denominators. This gives me 24 over 4. This can be reduced to 6. There are 6 sets of a 1/8. So that means that I could essentially make 6 tacos. Okay, so I wanted to get you started on the performance task. That way you'll be able to, have that one done, and then you'll be able to work through the rest of them. So it says, Min G is renovating a house. The living room is a rectangle, 22 2/3 feet long and 17 1/4 feet wide. A closet in one corner takes up an area of 6 2/3 feet by 6 feet. Minji wants to put in new flooring in the living room, but not in the closet. Flooring is sold by the square yard for $13.59. How much flooring does she need, and how much will it cost? Okay, so the key thing there is that we're gonna eventually have to convert this to yards. And that was being one of the main reasons I kind of wanted to work through this with you. Okay, so right here, I have kind of drawn out what this is gonna look like. So we have the living room, and then this is the closet. Okay, so she wanted to floor this area, but not this right here. So the first thing that I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go ahead and find the area of the living room first. So that means that I am going to need to take 22 2/3 feet and multiply it by 17 1/4 feet. If you can, pause the video and see if you can use the strategy that we talked about earlier in this video and solve this problem. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take 22 2/3 and I'm gonna turn it into a improper fraction. Same with this, 17 1/4 will be 69 over 4. Obviously you will need a calculator for this. Please don't feel like you need to do it without a calculator. That's not what we're focusing on. It's really just, are you able to divide, multiply and divide fractions. So I'm gonna multiply straight across. 68 times 69, so I have 4,692 over 12. So when I divide this, I get 391, and that gives me feet squared. I'm just gonna leave that for right now. So I'm gonna do 391 feet squared. Now I'm gonna find the closet. So I'm gonna erase my work down here if you need to see it just one last time. Now I'm gonna erase this. So now I'm gonna do the 6 2/3. Okay, pause the video, take a second and see if you can do that on your own. So I'm gonna turn this into an improper fraction. That is gonna give me 20 over 3, because 3 times 6 is 18, 2. So 20 over 3 times 6 over 1. That is going to give me 120 divided by 3. So that's 40 feet squared. Okay, so that means my closet is 40 feet squared. So there's 2 different things that I can do right now. I can go ahead and I can turn these into yards first, which that's what I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna show you how to do that, so maybe you can try this next one. So in order to change this, I'll let you look at this one last time. So how I find the area of the closet in square feet. So in order to change this, into square, I gotta turn this into square yards. I'm gonna need to multiply, because it's essentially 1 foot equals 3 yards. But this is squared. So dividing by 3 is essentially the same thing as multiplying by 1/3. But I need to square this because I'm working in yards squared, feet squared. Okay, so this is going to cancel this out. So then I'm going to be left with 391, 3 squared. And I sometimes kind of jump this step, and you can also, multiply by 1/9, because this is going to give me 391 over 9, which that is, go ahead and pause the video and do that on the calculator. It should work out to like 43 and some leftover. We're gonna round it, so this will be 43 yards squared. So I'm gonna kind of put this down here. Okay, now I'm gonna do that exact same thing. I know that was kind of in depth, but here's the work. Just remember that, multiplying by 1/3 is the same as dividing by 3. I'm gonna square it. Okay, now I'm gonna do that exact same thing for the closet. So I'm gonna take 40 feet squared, and I'm gonna multiply by 1/3 feet squared. So it's gonna cancel out these feet squared. I'm gonna have 40 over 3 squared, which is 40 over 9. And that works out to be, it's 4 yards square and some change. We're rounding it. So that means that this is 4 yards squared, okay? The work for it. Okay, now if you go back to the original problem, what was her name, Minji? She wanted to put flooring in the living room, so not the closet. So if I want to know just this section and not this, pause the video if you can and see if you can determine the final yards squared that I would need. Okay, so if I want to know just do this living room, if it's 43 yards squared, I'm going to take out the closet, which gives me roughly 39 yards squared. This is my not completely final answer, but the final answer for how many yards squared flooring I need. Okay, the next part, it asks for the amount of money. So it says that it is $13.59 per square yard. Now, if I have 39 square yards, what would you need to do in order to find out my total? I will leave you there. Remember, you can use a calculator to figure that out. I do have a challenge problem for you. This says directions: use the digits 0 through 9 without repeats to solve the problem below. So that means you would have a one digit here. Each box is a digit. So any digit 0 through 9, but you can't repeat, here, and then you would divide with another fraction, and that means that you would get an improper fraction here. So I will leave you with your work packet and your challenge problem, and I will see you next week. and just tune in to get the next lesson and the answer to the challenge problem. Thanks. Bye. Have a great week.